Hey Addicts, welcome back. We're here for episode 6, or 6, we just did 6. We're here for episode 7 of Danmachi, which is convenient because we're in book 7, technically, for the material. Which, this is jumping back with Bell. He's escaped the pleasure quarters, he's back at the Familia, and he's, trying to get back in swing of things, with his Familia, but, he can't keep his mind off of
the situation.
I can't say the other way. I'm so Harahime. Is that what you're gonna say? I mean, I guess that's the closest trailer. Anyway, we get to see that Bell is still thinking about her, and so he decides to confront Mikado about knowing, what she was like. And of course, we know when Bell gets to know somebody, he can't help but want to save them. So, we get to see that Hermes has also kind of got some things going on. He's trying to deal with spilling the beans in the last episode, so he's doing some interactions with some people that I won't mention here because, you'll see that in the episode, and then also with Bell. And Hermes is kind of a helper in this episode, laying down some minor details. So that will lead Bell and the rest of his family to figure that out very soon. But we get to see that they make their way off into the dungeon, and little do they know, but Ishtar is actually planning to use her newfound information to attack Bell in the dungeon. So that's basically where we leave off, is where they get that encounter with Ishtar Familia, and the episode ends with not knowing what's going to happen next, which we know what's happening next. But anyway, so getting into it, I really liked this episode too. I think this episode felt less rushed of the material. And that's not to say it wasn't too bad in 6, but I was could have extended that a little bit. But I think this one does a better job of doing that. I think, again, it has scenes in it that definitely are needed. Like the flashback, I think that's very important for not only building up this new character, but also the existing characters that we've had that are also related to the Far Eastern region of this world. And so I really do like that moment. There's a few moments, I think, in the middle that I'm we watched it back to back, so I'm trying to dissect it in my mind. But basically some of the smaller interactions that you get with their Familia too. And them coming to the conclusion that, they're going to eventually help her out. To what extent yet?
We don't know.
Yeah, they don't know.
So it was nice going back in the dungeon, even just for a little bit towards the end of this episode.
Probably the only time we'll be in the dungeon for this arc.
Yeah, pretty much. The only thing that I kind of wish we could have, which we'll definitely get in the next episode, so I can't really complain. And I don't think it was in the book specifically. But we did not get Freya's reaction to figuring out that they want Bell. And the other thing we didn't get is kind of which we'll get in the future, was a full explanation of what the Killing Stone is.
Yeah. I think they're saving that for next episode.
That gets there. But in this episode, we do find out what Hirahime's power is, at least to some extent.
It's the power of Grayskull.
It is the power of Grayskull and Golden Lights. But yeah, so you kind of get a little bit more of the picture of Volume 7, how things are going. And Bell's in a desperate situation at this point.
Yeah, because he's not really sure what's going on.
He's all alone.
Yeah, because, he's wow, she's a lot stronger than she was a moment ago. So I'm really looking forward to that fight play out. I think that'll probably be an extended thing in the next episode, seeing them get out of that. I do wish, we could have gotten that explanation in the Killing Stone, but I think it's probably best we didn't get that in this episode. I think, getting in the next episode is probably
it has more
where it
impact.
belongs. Yeah. And, but I do like, how they are handling Hermes, in this, because I think, just kind of, you get the same, essence of Hermes, I would say, that you do in the books, which is great. But I do like just seeing, the facial reactions that they do. They just really are able to, pull that across subtly without having to say it through dialogue. There's, I think, you see, Ishtar with her other Familia members, which, actually, that's not what I wanted to mention. Sorry, I'm backtracking here, because I wanted to say it. But, Bell back at the guild. with Aina, and you get the kind of the background of Ishtar Familia. I really like that they had that extended as well, because that's another big part in the book that I think it really helps you understand the scale of, what they could potentially be up against. There's a lot of, which again, like, kind of sad we didn't see that in the last episode with the chase team, because I think that helps build it as well. But I'm glad that we were able to at least get it a little bit in that regard.
Yeah, and I think they presented the episode in a way that, obviously Josh and I know what happens because we read the book. But if you hadn't read the book, there's just enough answers to questions for you to figure out where the story's going without it being like predictable.
Yeah, and there's also a lot of they're not so subtle. I mean, like, some of them are kind of like, I mean, no offense to any viewer out there if, like, you didn't pick it up, but I feel like you would, in a lot of situations, have to be brain dead not to pick up on some of the subtleties. But I do like how they implement that into the show a lot, even if it's not going to happen necessarily in the same season. Like, we got that in the first season. Even in this season, we've gotten it several times with Zane. Yeah, we've gotten the street from the last episode. Got that name drop there. And there's even a little bit in this episode too. So I like those that they add in there. Because again, won't say it here just in case. But yeah, I do really like those because I think those add a lot to not only the anime going forward into future seasons, but I think it's also like a great thing for book readers too.
Yeah. So, book 7. I like the central group of characters in this book. Obviously, we have many new ones. Some bad, some good, some bad. Some good that may be bad, and some bad that may be good.
Right.
But I think I'm excited to see what's to come, and we'll get to. There's also the climax of this book. Josh and I were just talking about it when we were watching or after we watched. Is so great on like so many different elements. Like Mikado's got a great part, Belle's got a great part.
There's some other
factors that are great. So I'm really excited, and I'm not usually with a new series you can be kind of worried about how they're going to execute, or if they're going to skip things, or if they're not going to get as dark as like the book was. But with this episode and the previous, I think they're committed to presenting the source material honestly and in a full complete manner. So I'm not worried that they'll mess up the finale. So I'm just excited now for what's to come.
Yeah, because I think, there's still some things that they're going to leave out that's just inevitable because they got to get to certain key moments, which, at the end of the day, if there is some stuff that, like, is really cool but, like, wasn't completely necessary, it's like, you just have to live with that, with it being, like, a show that's got to, make a profit in order for them to get a green light for the next one. But I think they're handling it pretty well. I mean, we've pretty much gotten a lot of the little scenes, too, that I think a lot of people appreciate out of the book. So, Michael, I'm looking forward to seeing this arc really tie up. I think our estimate of when it'll probably end is pretty still accurate. We're probably looking at 10 being the last for this arc, which is still a good amount. That gives them like 5 episodes, and then maybe potentially getting into the next arc in 3. The only gripe I really have about this episode, which is a very minor thing, but we're reviewing it, so I think it's a good thing to bring up, is the glow in the dungeon is a bit different than it is in the book, and design-wise, and it's like I wish that was a little bit more in tune with the book, but maybe that's going to change because they're not willing to give it, they don't want to be blatant about what it is yet. So if that's the reasoning why, just for like certain audience members that don't know about it, I'm cool with that. But I will be slightly disappointed if we don't get it'll change a little bit from when that comes to light. No pun intended.
Yeah. Because it's hard to know, it's hard to recall exactly, but I believe in the book, one of the reason why Belle's confused by he's so strong is because it's like dark, and he can like see who it is, but you can't see like in detail like what's happening with like the glowing stuff.
Yeah.
So that would be really hard to portray in like a show. So hopefully maybe they make some design changes later on.
I feel like which I can't believe I'm talking about this other show in a good light, but I think one thing that kind of harkens back is like Goblin Slayer. As much as that show's kind of I do think one thing they do pretty well, especially like in the first episode, is how they deal with lighting in their dungeon or underground sequences. So I was expecting something a little bit more like that, where you get like a glow, but it's like still really dark. It's really hard to portray that. No, like you said, in like this version because the labyrinth or the dungeon is a place where, you know, they have like big battles, so they can't make it like too dark all the time. So,
yeah, I don't know. But
yeah,
I mean, even if they mess it up, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. I will say though, the characters that we potentially may see, I'm looking forward to. So
there's some additional players.
Yeah, there's some additional
on the chessboard yet. I'm excited.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get a little bit more insight to that in the next episode. We did get a little bit of a drop in this one, which I don't want to say it here just because, like, if you haven't watched the episode yet, like, you should definitely just be like, you know, because, like, if you don't read the books especially, like, that's a nice little moment that I don't want to say here because I think it'd give it away. But that's going to give you a little bit of insight to maybe who might show up. So, looking forward to that. I think that's pretty much all I have to say about this episode besides just that I'm, you know, still enjoying it. It's, you know, faltered a little bit in like terms of like its pacing, but I think it's definitely gonna, you know, land better in this arc for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited for sure.
Yeah, because this is the most important one I would say before we get to
the big one.
Yeah, until we get to like book 9. So you know, but anyway, guys, I don't have anything to say.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. It was a good episode, yeah.
Yeah, so now we are on to record something else that's very sad.
But be happy for this because Danmachi's great. The movie's out. The DVD's coming out soon from what I've heard.
Yeah.
In the States, obviously it's in Japan. And maybe we'll get some merch, you know?
Maybe
we'll get some merch. Like once this season is over, we'll get some good merch and we'll buy it. And
I've actually already seen like 1 or 2 statues of like eyes, which nobody cares. Well, a lot of people care about, but we don't care about. And then I've seen one of Hestia on the Crunchyroll store. So hopefully we'll get more of that. Some shirts.
I'm a shirt guy.
Either that or like maybe we'll make our own merch that will be copyrighted immediately.
And yeah.
But anyway, guys, that'll conclude this, and we'll see you guys for next week. Hopefully on time for Danmachi.
Hopefully on time.
And expect the other show stuff coming out
Shortly.
soon. Yeah. Anyway, guys,
peace.